Hello, mappers. All right, so last video we went ahead and talked about the draw room tool, where I gave the example that if you draw multiple rooms and you wanted them to be different buildings, all of them will have the same exterior. So how would we change that? We could change that by using this tool, the place wall tool. The place wall tool effectively places a wall, ha 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 ha. But in essence, you get to pick interior walls or exterior walls, and then when you draw a wall or place a wall using this tool by clicking and dragging in straight lines, it'll basically place that there. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is that by default, no wall is selected. You see it says none, it says none. That is important because let's say, let me remove these garages. That's going to be with this tool. Let's say that I build a living room. And then I'm going to build a dining room. And then I'm going to build a kitchen, like this. Now, these three rooms, dining room, living room, and kitchen, if I wanted to have a giant kind of open floor plan feel, you'll notice that there's walls between them. If I select this place wall tool with no walls selected, when I click and drag, it'll actually tell the game to remove, or rather to place a no wall there. Now, in terms of, you see how the walls get highlighted, in terms of the room and the spawns within that room, right, this will effectively, for all intents and purposes, be a dining room. I right click to figure out which room it is. And here is the living room, and this is still the kitchen. For a player, when they spawn into this house, it'll just look like a ginormous rectangle. It'll give it an open feel, even though the spawns will be different. This is something that's important. Now, if you wanted to do the opposite and subdivide a room, like let's say this is a living room, but you wanted, two different things, you simply have to pick an interior wall. Let's pick this, and then you can build a wall there, right? Right-click deletes. I simply click and drag. Click and drag. Ta-da. Now, even though, this is all one giant room in terms of loot, for a player, this might feel like two different rooms. But these two quote-unquote rooms will have the same spawn because their inner definition is all living room, or is it dining room, excuse me. So another use for this place wall tool is to change exterior walls. Previously, I gave an example where you can have multiple buildings. They'll all have the same exterior wall. However, if you select the place wall tool and you select your exterior walls, you can pick an exterior wall and then simply go over your exterior walls. That'll effectively replace them. So to the player, it'll look like the exterior wall is something else. If I go back and make another building over here, it'll be different. It's basically a way to override or paint your exterior walls. This is important to know that always, because of the isometric view, the walls on the south side and the walls on the east side are always going to be exterior walls, unless they happen to be a room within a room. The walls on the north side and on the west side within houses will always be interior walls. This is an important distinction because if for exterior walls I have these logs selected, but for interior walls I have this railing selected, or rather this red wall, something like this will happen. When I'm drawing inside of the building, it's going to draw red, right? That's the interior wall. And the moment I exit the rooms and I'm in the exterior part of it, that same line will start drawing the exterior thing that I've drawn. So if for whatever reason I wanted all of my four walls, oh gosh, this is very confusing because I'm wiggling around too much. If for whatever reason I wanted all four walls to be this wooden fence here, I'd have to make sure that exterior walls and interior walls both had selected the same tile. Let me see if it's even in here. Let me zoom out. And I don't think it is. So let me pick something else. Let's say this location community police. Let's see, location community police, close enough. So now if I draw on around all four, it looks like it's just the same kind of tile all the way around because I've chosen the same tile for the exterior and the interior. This is something that you can use in order to effectively use this place wall tool. Simply select walls within exterior and interior, and then click and drag. You can build as many walls of any type as you want. A lot of times I use these interior walls, to grab railings, right, and then build railing. Oh, it's because I'm in the exterior, and then build railings within my stairs. That's what I use this a lot for. So what if there's, made a mistake? You have too many. You can always right-click the items once it's selected to erase it. You can also hover. Notice how my cursor is green. If I hover over the edges and it turns white and you get this kind of directional arrow, up and down does nothing, but if it's towards the inside of the wall or the outside, you can effectively change the size of that wall. So you don't have to build a wall and then a wall and then a wall to try and get the exact size. You can simply create one and then drag and move it to get the exact size you want. And if you're trying to just delete everything instead of trying to go one by one, that's where this tool comes in. Select and move objects. You can select objects by using this square, and then hitting something like the delete key will remove them all. If we want to reset everything, we can simply click our room tool, delete everything. And that is effectively how we use this place wall tool. Select and move rooms is exactly as it says. If I go ahead and make some rooms, I can use this to select a room and move it around. But it'll move chunks of the room. So just be aware of what you are selecting. And you can select, I believe, chunks of multiple rooms. I haven't found too much of a use for this, but it is always good to know that it is there if you need to reorganize different things. You can also select parts of rooms and hit your delete key won't work. If you want to remove rooms, remember we have to select this draw room and then hold Control to delete the room. This is blue because that area is selected. Now, something to note, I believe if it behaves similarly, nope. So just be aware that if something is selected blue, it just might be that you have this selected thing selected. You simply click away in order to remove it. All right, the next tool that we want to use is this doors tool. So basically, if you have a room, in order to create a door, you will use the place door button. That's going to be from this top section here. Doors. Here, let me go ahead and zoom back in. You can pick whatever door that you would like. In this case, the white door is selected, and this is how you place them. Simply by hovering over and clicking, we'll place the door there. Now, when I zoom in, I want to let you know that this door that we're selecting, see, is different. It looks like it has a framing around it. That's because it has a door frame. This door button or door tool affects both doors and door frames. If you want to just put the door in, you simply set no door frames, and you set that there. If you have a door frame selected, as you can see with these two examples, it'll go ahead and set the door frame around. This is very important when you use this fixtures doors 02. There are some doors that are a weird size. So if I place this door, you see how it has a gap on the back. The reason is because this fixtures doors 2 is what makes double doors. Only these fixtures doors 2, and not all of them, only some of them, are double doors. They will always have this weird gap, which is frustrating, so it always works with door frames. Simply select the correct door frame for the door. If the door frame is not, set up correct, or rather, if the door frame looks like it doesn't quite fit, see how it looks like the door still has that weird space, simply select the other side of the door frame, and most likely that's when it'll work. In one orientation, it might work, might not work, and the other orientation, it should work correctly. Honestly, it should work in both. This black one I added manually. I probably just added it wrong. When we go back, simply select the other door and the other door frame in order to get the other side. And that's how you set double doors so that they don't look funky like that. All right, this is how we go ahead and set doors and create them. Now, yeah. The next tool that we use is this, the window tool. It's the same thing. This is what helps place windows inside of on the map. Simply place windows by dragging and dropping. If you want to change the windows, this window selection up here will effectively pick the different windows that you would like. So you can have different styles and different types. Now, I do want to point out that these objects, the invisible transparent lines, are visible from the ortho mode. If I select this, you can see what they are. You just can't see what objects they are, but you can see that there is object there. I sometimes use this to place windows so that I can see that they are spaced evenly and that it works out. See, sometimes I'm like, ooh, that's a nice pattern that I would like to build. You can also, again, like I mentioned, this object tool, you can select a lot of things, delete them. You can also use that to be like, all right, so I want every other window, but on the inside or whatever. So you can do those kinds of things. Control Z does work here. And if you select this, I believe that Control Copy and Control Paste does not work. But holding Control and dragging, you can copy these, any type of pattern. If you hold Control and copy and release Control before you let it go, you're just going to move the window itself. It's kind of jumping the gun, this one, but just wanted to point out this is how I usually set windows in an organized fashion. Otherwise, you could just kind of play it by feel, however you like looking at the windows based on the rooms that you have. All right. The next tool that we'll talk, or the last tool that we'll talk in this video, is the stairs tool. Again, by using the stairs here, you can set this up. Basically, you only have two directions for the stairs to go on. There is no stair, at least that has been created yet, that allows the player to go from west to east or from north to south, because the stairs either face one direction or the other, this way or that way. So that's something to be aware of. The next thing that I want to point out is this floor editor. This allows you to effectively add a floor or to even duplicate a selected floor. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate. Now notice how I have highlight current floor. That is important because if you don't, let's see, if I go down and select the first floor, I can't see inside of the first floor because the second floor is on top of it. If I highlight it, it only basically lets me see or focus on the floor that I'm working on. I'm going to hit OK here. Now the thing that I wanted to show, I'm going to delete these stairs, is that when you place a stair in a lower room, it's going to remove 3 tiles from above. That's because this is going to be the needed headroom for your character not bump onto the ceiling as they walk up the stairs. So just be aware of that. It'll happen automatically if you place the floor above. These 3 tiles will get removed, and this immediate next tile is important because this will be the landing that your character will walk onto. So just be aware of that when you are planning for upstairs, that 3 tiles will be empty when you place a stair down. All right, we'll go ahead and we're going to skip roofs until later in the end. In the meantime, the last thing is going to be place furniture. This button is usually not selectable until you go to some type of tiles section. Click on a tile, and then you can click the place furniture to go ahead and place it down. When you click and hold, you can change the orientation of the image that you selected. If you hug up against the wall, the tile will orient itself towards the back of the wall. Sometimes that is not helpful. For example, if I hug up against here, I'm like, shoot, it's hugging this north wall. Sometimes by finagling the mouse, you can kind of angle it. Sometimes it's annoying. If you hold the control key, it'll force the tile to be in the direction that you've selected, regardless of which wall you are hugging. So that is something that I found useful. Right-clicking on any object will remove it, and it'll even affect other objects that are in different tools. So just be aware that that is something that you can do. These are going to look different because I personally created these types of categories by double-clicking, creating a new category, and then naming it and adding the specific tiles that I wanted from searching this giant list here. You don't have to do this. The base categories are useful. I just was creating a lot of houses and got tired. Yeah, but you can find a lot of fun tools like you have jukeboxes and pool tables and arcade machines, pianos, basketball courts, this kind of stuff. Alrighty. Cool. So with that being said, where am I going to save this? These are going to be TBX files. So let's say that this is going to be building 1. I like saving these inside of a TBX folder that is inside of our TMX. So what does that mean? When we go to our Stripesville, inside of TMX, I'm going to create a new folder, and that's TBX. Those are the buildings. In here, I like doing one other layer of separation for organization. I like giving the cell number. So for example, in our world, let me pull up the world. This is cell 0, 0. So I create a 0, 0 folder, and all of the buildings that go inside of that 0, 0 folder, I'm going to save in here. That way I know if, let's say, I make one house that's exactly the same in cell 0, 0 and one house that's exactly the same but slightly different in 0, 1, I can basically copy and use that, but whenever I affect the one that's inside of the 0, 1 folder, it'll affect the house that's living in that cell. So this just helps my level of organization. I'm going to hit save, and now this building is saved inside of the TBX folders for cell 0, 0. So whenever I'm in the world editor, and I go ahead and look at cell 0, 0, I can simply navigate to my TMX and then TBX folders. Since I'm affecting cell 0, 0, I go into that, and then that's where these buildings are available. The way that we add, as a last note for this video, these buildings into the world editor is simply by clicking and dragging them. Now you'll notice that there's kind of like a ghost kind of area underneath it. That's because this building, even though we've only built this one room that is that height, the area that we selected is a 20 by 20 area. So this is effectively the entire domain that this room has. I also want to point out that the 20 by 20 room area actually ends here. Every time you create a building, it actually adds an extra tile on the south and east side. This is important to note because if you make if you cannot make buildings that are a 1 by 1, even though it'll be 1 by 1 in this program, it'll actually be 2 by 2 because it'll add these extra little taglines. That is important to note because if you want to make buildings that are literally touching wall to wall, you won't be able to do that by making them in separate files, because these kind of borders here will start overriding each other and will cut off another building. The program will decide which one takes priority when it loads, and you'll end up with a bunch of glitched out things. If you need to make buildings that are touching each other wall to wall, I would recommend just making one large building and then building, multiple buildings that are touching each other wall to wall, and then simply dragging the whole building out here. I've made entire city blocks in that exact fashion, and then from here you can simply drag and move around in the world editor by using this select and move lots tool. And then you can move your building around. Now what's useful is, let's say I zoom in here, anytime that I save any changes inside of this, inside of this, please snap, inside of this tile editor, it actually affects them in real time there. This is why I mentioned that being able to use both programs is useful. If I add a door there and some windows, notice this asterisk, the moment I save by hitting Control S, it's actually going to update here. So I can always look in context how this building is affecting the world around it. I'm like, oh shoot, the road is over here, not over here. Let me actually remove the door. And when I make my door, I'm going to go to the top, pick a nicer door. I don't want a door frame. I'm going to set it over here, Control Save, and that's going to go ahead and update the building. So just be aware that that is something that you can do. Great. So that's effectively it in terms of the main uses for the building. From there on out, you can effectively use this building editor to create any type of house that you want, whether it has halls or not. In essence, I can go ahead and remove this. If I were to build a quick house, let's say that we're going to have the entrance up here because that's where the road was. Oh, I click you walk into the living room. There it is. I use the mouse wheel to go ahead and change from one room to the other. Then we're going to have the dining room right over here. As a matter of fact, I actually want the dining room here. And then we're going to have the kitchen right next to it. Just like in my previous example, I want this to be an open floor. Oh, not that. So I'm going to go to my interior walls, select none. I'm going to break down these walls here. That way it's going to be a large open floor plan. I'm going to hit Control Save. It's going to be the same building one. Let's make a bathroom off to the side. Go back to this. Here's going to be my bathroom, and then I'm going to go ahead and have a bedroom. Now, why they have bedroom 1 and bedroom 2 is because if I have a bedroom 1 here, and then I want to build another bedroom there, that's going to be annoying. I would have to build a wall. Or I can make bedroom 2 next to it, and bedroom 2 can have different color walls and everything very quickly without me needing to select the wall, select a different color, change it, then select a different floor, etc., etc., etc. So that's why this bedroom 1, bedroom 2 is there. You can make multiple bedrooms or multiple different types of rooms that are touching each other. We're going to pick a different type of door over here. Let's pick that white household door. Where is it? These are walls. Doors. Fixture doors. Here's the white one. So this is going to go into the bathroom. There are no walls here. This goes into this bedroom, and this goes into that bedroom. Control Save. Windows. I'm going to go ahead and pick this window. You can add curtains if you want. I'll go ahead. You can pick whether they're open or closed, and you can change it from window to window. So I'll go ahead and make these windows here. This one's going to be closed. The bedrooms are going to have closed shutters because they're like, don't look at my bedroom. And, you know, I can use different colors here. The kitchen's going to have red, as is the bathroom. Cool. I need to make a front door, so let's go ahead and go back to doors. And let's say that this is going to be a nice front door. Boom. Now, if I want to see how this looks like here, I hit Control Save, and this gets updated. That's what it looks like in the actual world. Exciting. Oh, this is the tile editor, not the building editor. Okay. Then from here, we want to place some furniture. So I'm going to go in. Light switches are very important because light switches are where actually allows your players, I'm going to hit the chair tool, to turn lights on and off. If you do not put a light switch in a room, it will not light up when a player walks into it. Light switches are important to put in rooms. And you see how there's no walls in these? Even if we remove these walls by putting these invisible barriers, they still need light switches. So it's important to add light switches to all of your rooms. One light switch will effectively be, see here, is going to be closer to one end than the other. So just be aware of your light switches. Just to add that little touch of realism. All right, cool. That being said, oh, notice here, I put the wall and the light switch in the wrong room. I could move them, or I could make this bedroom bigger by simply adding this. Control Save. So let's start here. This is going to be the living room that they walk in. I'm going to say, all right, cool. Looks like this is dining room that I selected, so I'm going to put a table in the dining room. Put some chairs. And then looks like living room. Here's like a fireplace. Great. Now notice how that's glitched because the back of the fireplace was placed after the front of the fireplace. I'm going to right click to remove that. I'm going to put the back of the fireplace there first and the front of the fireplace. Again, the order in which you place items matters because that'll put things in front of other things. And it'll affect the look. Cool. I'm going to put a little fancy chair inside of our living room there for reading. And then we're going to go into like the kitchen. Looks like that was at the top. Here's the kitchen. I'm going to put some counters there. Oven. Refrigerator. I love refrigerators. Sink. Great. You can add more details if you want, up to you. This is the bathroom over here. So let's go ahead and make the bathroom. Here's a toilet. Counter so that you can have items spawn. Sink. Mirrors. Something that I like paying attention to is if I put this kind of mirror and this kind of sink, there is no space in either of those and nothing will spawn in the bathroom. It's important to be able to know, right, that you're putting containers into the bathroom. I'm going to go ahead and add a bathtub here. It doesn't matter where, but I'm going to put it there. And there you go. That's my bathroom. We're going to make some bedrooms here. Looks like here's a single bed, and this one's going to have the bed there. I'm going to use now some small dressers. Nightstand, large dresser, chair, why not? And I guess there's lamps. I could grab a lamp and put it here. Oh, look, this lamp doesn't quite go on that dresser, so I'm not going to put it on there, or this one. It goes through this one, so I'm just not going to deal with it. But in essence, this is what the house looks like. Very bare bones. That's fine. I did that on purpose because I'm doing it very quickly, but this is effectively how I would create a house. This is why I recommend creating your own house first, so that you don't end up with something weird looking or like this. This I don't think would be a good house, but you know, you can add the details that you want. Yeah, the last thing that I would say is now adding a roof. You do have to go to a second level. Oh snap! Because I hit copy instead of build, it added that weird this previous room. So I'm gonna hit just add a new floor, floor 3, and floor 2. I'm gonna go ahead and just remove that floor. When I select floor 2, everything looks empty. Here, right, notice that the tiling looks a little off because this puts it in the corner, etc. This is where we could put roof here. I usually end up going for the flat top a lot of times. You go to the rooftop section at the top, and whatever rooftop you select, click and drag, and it'll create that type of rooftop. If we press H to basically unfocus, you'll see kind of what it looks like. Page down lets us look at the bottom floor, and that's effectively what this house would look like. Not ideal because of the roofs. What you can do is effectively use these different slopes. See, because it's west, the slope is to the west, which is this direction. So it just looks like these, right? It's going to have these roof caps. If I select the east one, right, and that's when it looks like this, because then the slope is going to be towards the east, and that's where the roof slope is pointing. The roof cap is going to be there. So that's effectively how you can see it. So if the slope is to the north, that's this direction. So it'll again look invisible because it's facing away from us, and we just see the roof cap there. You can effectively use these to mess with this, right? Horizontal means that it's going left to right or east to west, and you can create whatever roofs that you want. Over here on this side, you have shallow ones. These are only going to be 2 wide, so be aware of that. If it's north-south, right, like I can't make them bigger than 2. I can make them 1, I can make them 2, and then no wider. When I say big, right, I can't make them wider than 2. So just be aware of these little roof slopes, and then you can just get creative with how you do. Shallow peaks are going to be, again, this kind of business. These work really well with types of shallow slopes. I did the wrong side. Let's do north over here. Right, so it looks like the shallow peak is a shallow roof combined with the other shallow roof, but in just one big thing. Kind of to save some steps. Yeah. This side over here, this is going to be like inner walls. right? It says northwest because that means that it is facing northwest. Outer ones are going to have different types of sizes. You can feel free to mess around and experiment with all of these. Dormers south, that means that it's facing south. And then it has this little edge here so that you can go ahead and make fun little shapes with your roofs here. I think that was just a little too to the edge, but sometimes you're able to finagle it so that this looks appropriately nice. Anyway, feel free to mess with this as you'd like in order to make cool roofs. If you are just beginning and you're getting a little frustrated, I recommend just using flat top roofs. They might not make the nicest buildings, but at least you'll have a roof over your head. Don't forget to save, and that's going to be my very, very quick tutorial on how to make a building. Good luck!